I also used these large wooden beads for the inside part. This is by Kraft wood. It's a 19-piece 0.98 inch or 25 millimeter round bead. So I finished 40 rounds of one single crochet into every stitch, and now we're going to go ahead and stuff the foot as well as put wire in if you're using your kraft wire. Another option that you can use is the Panacea Decorative Accent stem wrap tape. This is a package of 3. It's a green floral tape. You just cut off a small amount of the floral tape, and then you just take and wrap around the area that you want to wrap around. This tape works great. It actually will stick. Oop. You have to, the initial part is a little tough in getting it to lay in there, but once you have the couple wraps finished, then it's really easy, and it just kind of molds to the area that you want wrapped. And then you just wrap it around until it's completely covered the way that you want it. And you can extend down the wire as much as you want. I'm just going to go over the one area. And then once you're happy with the amount, just cut and then just squish it onto the area, and it just molds right to the area that you want. It works great. So now you want the wire that's going to connect to, this is the wire that will go in the hoof itself, and then you want one that goes up the leg. So I'm just going to measure the amount of wire that I want in the leg, and it's going to fold over on itself. So you can see how I kind of folded over an amount of wire that I want to fit into the leg. So mine measures about 32 inches long. Then just fold it in half. Make sure that it's the same length. On the other end. Then you're going to take and bend it up so that the ends up to the area where it curves up towards the leg. I'm making sure that it's the same. So I have it the same length, and then this length that curves up into the leg, this distance from the two ends to this curve is about 5 inches. Then you take the curved portion with the two ends and put it underneath the circle portion that you made. And then you're going to take and just coil the wire around on both sides. And then you're just going to take the tape, the floral tape or the yarn or both, and then wrap the ends. I just used floral tape on the second part and it worked great. So on the rest of them I'm just going to use the floral tape. Then the next step is just take a little bit of stuffing, just a small amount, and put it into the hoof, into the bottom hoof. Just flatten it out into the bottom. Then you're going to take the wire, if you're using the wire. Otherwise you just stuff the foot. But then you just put the wire down into the hoof. Then after you have the wire in, go ahead and put the rest of the kraft stuffing into the leg. Make sure that you put enough kraft stuffing into the hoof itself, and then I put stuffing in the front and in the back of the kraft wire. So after I'm finished stuffing the foot and the kraft wire, I just kind of bent the wire down in there so it's stuffed really well. Then I'm going to take, before I finish closing, you want to take and find the inner part. So this will be facing forward. So this part will be towards the body. So you want to go down about 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the inside, this is where you're going to take your wire. This wire is 32 inches long, and you're going to go right into the side. So make sure that your foot is facing forward. So this will be facing forward on the horse. And then you go through 1, 2, 3, 4 rows down. And then you go right through the bead. And then bring the wire back through about a stitch over. And then you want to feed. You want half of the wire. Go ahead and feed the wire through until it's halfway. So the two ends meet up. And then fold it down. And then the half of the wire will be on the inside. And so then you're going to feed the wire back through. And you want to go about a stitch over. Or even through the same. I'm going to go a stitch over. So I go about a stitch over, and then bring the wires out, and then you have the bead on the inside that will hold the wire in place. And then now we're ready to close the leg. So now go ahead and get your yarn marker, place it right where you left off, and we're going to make a decrease round. You're going to make 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then you're going to make your decrease stitch or single crochet 2 stitches together. So you just take your crochet hook, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch over and bring up a loop. Then yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through all 3 for a decrease stitch. So go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around. 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together. Repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then you have 1 stitch remaining. Just make 1 single crochet into the remaining stitch. Now you can see that you've decreased to 29 stitches in the round. So now for the next decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating that pattern all the way around. You should have had 22 stitches for that last round. Then for the next decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 1 stitch and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Now you're almost closed. You can put additional kraft stuffing in if you like, and you can go ahead and just remove the yarn marker. And now you're just going to single crochet 2 stitches together until you're almost closed. So just keep making single crochet 2 stitches together all the way around until you're almost closed, and then come back. Then you can take and just slip stitch the rest closed. So I'm just going to go into the next stitch over. Sometimes you can skip a stitch and then slip stitch, but I'm just going to go into the next stitch over and then bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch, So I'm going to go into the next stitch over, and then I want to yarn over and then just bring the yarn through both loops for a slip stitch, and I'm going to keep doing that until the leg is closed. So one more should do it. And then you can just finish off, just yarn over and just pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. And then you're going to make the rest of the legs the same way. So again, if you're not using the kraft wire, you would just close it the exact same way without the kraft wire. So now go ahead and finish all 4 of the legs. The other important thing to remember with your feet is you need 2 of them. Not only do they need to face forward, but you need the wires to face each other, because these wires from each leg will go through the body and wrap around each other. So make sure that you have 2 legs with the wires coming out of the leg facing each other, and the feet are facing, the paws or hoof is facing forward. So now you want to get the main body and put the legs in place, the back legs in the back and then the front legs in the front with the wires facing the body. If you have a zipper, make sure that you open it and then turn the bag inside out so that it's not in the center of the body. So I brought the wires in 14 rows from the back and then 14 rows down on the body. Then make sure to place the wooden ball onto the wire. Then just take and twist the wire after you secure the ball close to the body. And then do the same thing on the opposite side. Then I just coiled the wire around each other on the inside. Now I'm going to use the floral tape to secure any pieces down. And I took and tied yarn around the strands so that they won't come undone. You could also trim the wires shorter so that you have a shorter wire in there. So either way would work. And this is what it looks like after I'm done securing the wires. And then you're going to do the same thing to the front. So the front legs, I went 8 in from the front panel and then 14 down. So now you have all the kraft wire inside the body. So if you do decide to use kraft wire in the body, make sure that you let the people know, if you are gifting it or selling it, that it does have kraft wire in it. You don't want anybody jumping on it and getting hurt. And if you are using the kraft wire, it's very important to make sure you secure it well, like I did. So it's very secure in here. But still, you have to be cautious, of course, anytime you're using some kind of wire inside of the body and the legs. I wouldn't recommend using the kraft wire in there if you know that you're giving it to a small child. So the legs aren't finished being secured yet. We're still going to go through it with some yarn, but before we do that, we're going to finish the neck and the head of the horse. So you can go ahead and put a little bit of stuffing into the body, but we'll stuff it more as we finish the neck. So now you're going to start in the corner on the back. Here's the zipper right here in the back panel. You're going to start in the corner. Go ahead and join with the same colored yarn. Then you're going to go ahead and just use a yarn marker to help keep track of where you are. And you're just going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch across the back panel, and then come back when you come to the first corner seam on the opposite side. Now when you reach the first corner, you're going to make a decrease stitch or single crochet 2 stitches together. So go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, and then go on the opposite side on the side panel, bring up a loop, and then just make a decrease stitch. And then continue making 1 single crochet in every stitch around. And then you're going to do the same thing for each corner that you come across. So I finished that round with 99 stitches, and I'm going to make decreased stitches. I've already placed my markers, so go ahead and place your yarn markers. Just place 2 anywhere on the back panel, this back side, and then 1 about midway on the one side, 1 midway on the opposite side, and then 1 in the front. So we're going to decrease in those spots only to decrease the stitch count to 94 in the round. So you're going to take and just make 1 single crochet in each stitch up to the yarn markers that you placed. And when you reach your yarn marker, you're just going to remove it and then just make a decrease stitch. So you're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. And then resume 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So if you have 1 or 2 stitches more than 94 and you don't need all 5 decrease, because you want to end the round with 94 stitches. So if you don't need 5 decrease stitches around to reach 94, then just place the number that you need to have a stitch count of 94 when you go back to the start. Now when you're back to where you started, you should have a total of 94 stitches in the round for the neck. Go ahead and take a yarn marker and just place it right where you left off. That way you can keep track of your rounds. You need 4 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. So 4 total rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So far we've made 2 rounds in the neck, and now we need 4 additional rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So after you finish your 4 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, go ahead and move the yarn marker up, and we're going to make a decrease round. So we're going to decrease the number of stitches in the round. So for the first decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 10 stitches. So 10 stitches, here's 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then you're going to make your decrease stitch. So you're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. So you go into the first stitch, bring up a loop, go into the second stitch and bring up a loop, then yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 3 for a decrease stitch. So go ahead, repeat this pattern all the way around, 1 single crochet into 10 stitches and then single crochet 2 stitches together, and then repeat all the way around. So now I have 1 stitch left. I'm going to go ahead and just make a decrease stitch to complete the round, even though I'm going past my yarn marker. So I finished that round with 87 stitches. But don't worry if your stitch count is not exact as mine, as long as it's pretty close to my stitch count. Then go ahead and move your yarn marker up for another decrease round. And then for this decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 9 stitches. After you finish your 1 single crochet into 9 stitches, then single crochet 2 stitches together. And then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So I finished that decrease round with 79 stitches in the round. Then go ahead and move your yarn marker up, and you're only going to make 1 single crochet into every stitch around for a total of 9 rounds. So 9 rounds of 1 single crochet into every stitch around. After you finish your 9 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, go ahead and move the yarn marker up for another decrease round. You're going to make 1 single crochet into 8 stitches and then single crochet 2 stitches together. Then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then you have 1 stitch left. Go ahead and just make your last stitch a decrease stitch. So now I have 71 stitches in the round. Then go ahead and move the yarn marker up. And you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 14 rounds. So 14 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. Then after you finish your 14 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, go ahead and move your yarn marker up to where you left off. Then you're going to make 1 single crochet into 7 stitches and then single crochet 2 stitches together. Then go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. 1 single crochet into 7 stitches and then single crochet 2 stitches together. Again, you're going to end with just 1 stitch left, so you can go ahead and end with a single crochet 2 stitches together. Then just make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 2 rounds. My stitch count is 63. So I have about 63 stitches in the round, and I'm making 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 2 rounds. So now you're going to want to stuff the body and the neck really well, and then you're going to take and find the center in the front and count 8 stitches both to the left and to the right. You're going to leave these 16 stitches open or unworked. Then you're going to take and make 1 single crochet into every stitch up to the first yarn marker. Then when you reach the first yarn marker in the front, you're going to turn your work and then make 1 single crochet in every stitch back to the other yarn marker. And you can go ahead and remove the pink yarn marker where we started. So this is the other yarn marker that's marking the front. So you're going to turn your work and then just make 1 single crochet back to the other yarn marker. So you can see how I'm making 1 single crochet in every stitch back towards the other yarn marker. Now when you reach the other yarn marker, you're going to turn your work again. You're going to skip the first stitch and then make a single crochet into the second stitch. So skip the first stitch and make a single crochet into the second stitch. Then make 1 single crochet in every stitch back to the opposite side. So you can see how we're building up the sides of the neck. I skipped that last stitch. I'm going to turn, and then on that third row I had 43 stitches total. And now I'm going to turn, skip a stitch, and make a single crochet in every stitch back across to the opposite side to the other yarn marker. This is how my work looks now. And I have 37 stitches on that back row. You can see how I'm forming an angle and the back part of the neck is up higher. Now take your yarn marker and count over 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and place your yarn marker into the 5th stitch. Then you're going to turn your work, skip the first stitch, and make 1 single crochet in every stitch back to the yarn marker. So now you can see where I stopped right before the yarn marker. Now take the opposite yarn marker and move that up 4 stitches in on the opposite side. So now you have 4 stitches free on the opposite side, and you're going to turn your work and just make 1 single crochet in every stitch back across. But this time you're going to chain 1. So I chained one, and then I want to make a single crochet into the next stitch over. So you can see how my work looks so far. So now you're just going to chain one, turn your work, and then make single crochet back across to the other yarn marker, and you're going to repeat that until you have a total of 3. So we already made one, so you want 2 more rows where you make a chain one and then 1 single crochet in every stitch across to the opposite yarn marker. My stitch count is 25 along the back. Then you can go ahead and finish off and finish stuffing the neck, and you can see how there's an angle from the front where you're going to place the head, and you're going to sew the back of the head first, and you want to make sure that the face is facing straight and not crooked as you sew. So you want to go ahead and place the head on, making sure that the face is straight, and then you're going to sew along the back of the head first with your tapestry needle. So I took my tapestry needle and I sewed along the back of the neck first, lined it up right with the back of the head, and you can see how the eye is lined up with the front of the neck, the back of the eye. So right here is lined up close to the front of the neck. Then you're just going to sew along the sides and the front, making sure that the eyes are facing forward and not crooked. And don't worry if you don't get all of the stitches the first round. You're going to probably make several rounds securing the head to the body. And this is what she looks like with her head sewn on. And now we're going to go ahead and sew the ears in place and the hair. But first we're going to secure the legs. I've started using this Dritz upholstery needle to help me sew on the legs, and it works great. I use the 30cm needle, the longest one. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you pull out the bag from the zipper compartment if you made a zipper on the back of your horse. After getting your yarn on the long needle, you want to go in through the side of the leg. Make sure that the leg is facing forward on the horse. And then I usually go about 4 rows down and then enter the leg and then go through the body and out the other side. Then you can see how I went through the opposite side. Now I'm going to go about a stitch over and then go right back through the body. You can see how I just go about a stitch over to go right back through. And I usually go back through twice. Then you just pull on the 2 yarn ends, cinching the legs to the body, and then tie a knot when you're happy with the position. Then you just take your tapestry needle, and then you just go right in where you tied a knot, and then come out anywhere on the leg, and then just bury the loose yarn end, and then cut the loose yarn end. Then you just repeat the same process with the back legs. So then the legs are a little bit more secure. It's still difficult to get her to stand up, but she does stand up after some maneuvering. 11 rows up from the eye, the top of the eye. Go ahead and sew the ear in place, and I lined mine up with the inside of the safety eye. Now after sewing the ears in place, you're ready to sew the hair. Then you're going to take the yarn that you want to use for the mane and put it onto your tapestry needle, and you're going to go just behind the ear along the back of the head, all along the top portion, making loops with your yarn. You can make the hair as long as you like, just make all of the loops the same size. Then you just take and cut the ends of the loop. And then you're going to tie a knot with each of the strands. For the large unicorn horn, we're going to start with the magic circle. Just drape the yarn across your 4 fingers, use your thumb to stabilize, then wrap the yarn around your 2 middle fingers and then hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. Then take your crochet hook, go under those 2 loops, bring up a loop, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through the loop for a slip knot. Then make 6 single crochet into the magic circle. Then go ahead and close up the magic circle just like you've done before. Then you're going to turn your work and then go into the first stitch, and then you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 3 rounds. So 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 3 rounds. Then you can go ahead and get a yarn marker. I'm just using one of my scraps of yarn. Place it right where you left off, and I also turned it inside out so that the loose yarn end is in the center. Then you're just going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So 1 single crochet into the first stitch and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now you should have 9 stitches in the round. Go ahead and move the yarn marker up to where you left off, and you're going to make only 1 single crochet into every stitch around for a total of 3 rounds. So 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. Then after you make 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, go ahead and move the yarn marker up. We're going to make another increase round. So for this increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the third stitch. And then you just repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So you should have finished that round with a stitch count of 12. Then go ahead and move your yarn marker up to where you left off, and you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 3 rounds. So 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. Then go ahead and move the yarn marker up for our next increase round. And then for this increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then make 2 single crochet into the fourth stitch, and repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Now you should have 15 stitches in the round. Go ahead and move the yarn marker up, and this time make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 6 rounds. So 6 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. Now, depending on the yarn choice that you made, you can determine if this is the size that you want for your horn or not. I'm going to go a little bit larger, so I'm going to make another increase round, but if you're happy with the size of your horn, then just keep it at this length, and you would just keep making 1 single crochet in every stitch until you have the length that you want for your unicorn horn. But for mine, I'm going to make it a little bit larger, so I'm going to take and move the yarn marker up, and I'm going in order. So my last increase round was 1 single crochet in 3 stitches, so this increase round is going to be 1 single crochet into 4 stitches. and then I'm going to make 2 single crochet into the 5th stitch, and then I'm going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now I have 18 total stitches in the round. Then go ahead and move the yarn marker up, and then I'm going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch for 8 rounds. So 8 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. After you finish your 8 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, go ahead and make a slip stitch into the next stitch over. So just go into that next stitch, yarn over, and then bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. Then you can go ahead and finish off, just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the horn onto the unicorn. So now you're going to go ahead and stuff it and then sew it on the unicorn. So go ahead and center the horn onto the unicorn, and then you're going to sew all along the base of the horn. And you can see that I placed my horn just in front of the ears, and you want to make sure that you center it between the eyes. For the unicorn snout design, I used Karen's Simply Soft Party, and here's some information about this yarn. Now the color that I chose for the unicorn was a sparkle blue. So this one's the fuchsia pink, and I'm using the sparkle blue to match the hair on my magic unicorn. Now this snout design is optional, so you don't have to put a snout design if you don't want to, and you can have fun with it and put all kinds of different designs that you want, but I'm going to show you how I made mine. So the first thing you're going to do is just take the yarn and fold it over on itself to form a loop. Then take your crochet hook, and I'm still using my 4mm crochet hook. Then go ahead and take your middle finger and thumb and hold the base of the loop, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through that loop for a slip knot. Go ahead and cinch it down. Then you're going to make a chain. So I'm starting with a chain of 6. So yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now you're going to take your crochet hook and you're going to go into the second chain from the hook. So go into that second chain from the hook, bring up a loop, then make a single crochet, and then you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch back across. And then that gives you a total of 5 stitches in the row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're not going to go into that base of that chain 1. You're going to go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, make sure you grab the full yarn, make a single crochet, and then you're just going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch, and then chain 1, turn, and repeat until you have a total of 3. So this is the first one that we're making, and then you're going to make 2 more and then come back. 2 more rows. So this is what mine looks like so far, and you can measure this on your horse. This is the part that goes under the nostril. The nostrils will be up high. So if you want it a little bit longer, you can make it a little bit longer, so you can determine where you want to place your color design on your horse. Then, now I'm going to move up to the next row, which is going to go between the nostrils. So you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and then make 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. Then chain 1, turn your work, and repeat. So this is a stitch count of 4 on each row. And you're going to repeat this until you have a total of 7 with the stitch count of 4. So you need to chain 1, turn, and repeat. Go into the next stitch. And again, each of these rows will have a stitch count of 4, and you want a total of 7 rows. So now you can see that I have a little bit of an indentation there, and then I have my 7 rows. So I want this indentation to be on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, turn my work, and then make 1 more row of 1 single crochet in every stitch. And now you want to line this up with your horse and just double check that you're past the nostrils. And then if you want to make it a little bit less, so not as many rows, you can do that. So you can do what you want and have fun with this design. Then what you're going to do is just chain 1, turn your work, and then make a single crochet into the next stitch over, and then 1 single crochet into each stitch back across. And then this time we're going to extend the design. So you're going to make a chain of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then you're going to turn your work. Actually, what you can do is you can, go ahead and just turn your work. It'll be easier. So you're going to turn your work, and then you're going to go into the second chain from the hook. So go ahead and go into that second chain from the hook, bring up a loop, make a single crochet, and then you're going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch back across. So that should give you a stitch count of 5 once you're back to the original row. And then you're going to go into that next stitch on the row and make a single crochet. So you can see how we just extended the design. Then just go right into the next stitch and 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way to the end. So that should be a total of 9 stitches across. Then you can just chain 1, turn your work, and then just make 1 single crochet into every stitch across. For mine, I made 7 rows total of the stitch count of 9 with I made 7 rows for my design. Like I said, you can have fun with this. You don't have to follow mine exactly. You can make your own unique design for your horse, but I'm just showing you how I made my design. So again, I made 7 rows. Just chain 1, turn your work, and then make 1 single crochet into each stitch across. So this is what my work looks like so far. And now you're going to go ahead, you're not going to make a chain of 1 after you finish your last single crochet. Just turn your work. And then you're going to go into the next stitch over for a single crochet. So that's 1. And then the next stitch for your second single crochet. Next stitch for your 4th, next stitch for your 5th, next stitch for your 6th, next stitch for your 7th, and then your 8th. Then you're going to turn your work, go into the next stitch for your single crochet for your first, go into the next stitch for your second single crochet, next stitch for your third, next stitch for your fourth, next stitch for your fifth. Then you're going to chain one, turn your work, go into the next stitch, and you're going to make one single crochet into each stitch, and you should have a stitch count of 5 still, counting your chain one. And you're going to repeat this, chain one, turn your work, go into the next stitch, and repeat. And you're going to repeat this until you have the design up to about mid-level of your horse's eyes. So when you come back, I'll let you know how long mine is, but you want to measure it on your horse and make sure you line up the nostril. This part goes under the nostril, and then the nostrils should fall about right here, and then you have the design above the nostril. And then you want to continue this up the snout of the horse or the head of the horse until you're mid-level between the eyes. For mine, I made 22 rows, and then after the 22nd row and the last single crochet, I'm going to go ahead and chain one, turn my work, and then this time you are going to go into that base stitch below the chain one. We want to add a stitch, actually a couple of stitches, but this is one of the stitches where we're going to add a stitch. So counting that first chain one, that counts as your first stitch, and then we made a second stitch. Then you're going to go into the next stitch for your third single crochet, next stitch for your fourth, next stitch for your fifth, and then in the last stitch you're going to make 2 single crochet, which will give you a total stitch count of 7 for this row. Then you're going to chain one, turn your work, and then you're going to make a single crochet into the same stitch. So that's two stitches. Then the next stitch for your third single crochet, next stitch for your fourth, next stitch for your fifth, next stitch for your sixth, next stitch for your seventh, and then 2 single crochet into that last stitch, which will give you a stitch count of 9 for the row. Do it again. Then you can chain one and then turn your work. Then just make 1 single crochet into each stitch, and you should still have a stitch count of 9. Then we're going to make 1 more increase row. We're going to increase the row by 2 stitches again. So go ahead and chain 1, turn your work, go into the same stitch for your second single crochet, because your first chain 1 counts as 1, then the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet across in every stitch except for the last stitch. You're going to make 2 single crochet into the last stitch. Then you can go ahead and chain 1. You can see how we're making another design for the top. So go ahead and chain 1 and then turn your work, and this time you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch. So go into the next stitch over and make your single crochet, and you're going to make a total of 4 rows with the stitch count of 11. Now we're ready to start decreasing the number of stitches in the row. So we're not going to chain one. You're just going to turn your work, go into the next stitch over for the single crochet, and then just make one single crochet into each stitch except for the last stitch. So now I have 9 stitches in the row. I'm going to go ahead and turn my work, go into the next stitch and make one single crochet, and again you're going to skip the last stitch, just one single crochet in each stitch and skip the last stitch. So now I have 7 stitches across. I'm going to turn my work again, go into the next stitch for a single crochet, second, third, fourth, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the 5th stitch. So just yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. Then go ahead and yarn over and pull enough yarn through to help sew the design on the front of the head. Then you can take and sew the design in place. So I start with the snout. I position the design how I want it, and then I leave that long loose yarn end for sewing, and then I secure the top part of it. And then I just use both long yarn end strands to sew the design in place how I want it. So now I just wanted to show you the 2 horses side by side and their marking on the front of the forehead. If you like the matching heart on the unicorn, that is my super quick and easy heart from my heart headband, and I use my 9mm crochet hook, and then I just sewed that in place so it would match the marking on the front. You could, if you don't even want a forehead marking, you could leave that off, but I wanted to show what it looks like because it looks really cute for a unique design. And then for my unicorn, if you do use a matching forehead design on the head, I would recommend using those colors mixed in with the mane. I'm not finished with her hair yet, so I'm still working on her mane.